All right, I'm going to pull you forward just a bit and completely mess up all the camera work as usual. All right, I ran into a couple of things. I had to go back to the store, three of them actually, where I could finally figure out what I was after. One thing I noticed that when I bought the silicone was I just grabbed the gray thinking it would look good and not even realizing that what I bought was not that really thick stuff. It was that thin garbage, and that really won't work for what I'm doing here. The China walls, they call these the end block plates. All gaskets, they make them rubber, or you can get them. You can get cork, and if you don't buy anything high performance at all, cork is pretty standard. And so, with that said, that's what I have. And I have two different ones, and that's fine. But the problem with cork is, number one, is you can over smash it. That's number one. Number two problem with cork is because of its makeup consistency, whatever you want to call it, it will absorb oil. And unfortunately, it can only absorb so much. And eventually, it will start oozing. It may not be a leak like you see it running down the side on your driveway, but that's always doable. So, on your China rail, I'm not telling you got to do this. Use the gaskets if you feel like this won't work. But I've had pretty good luck with doing this. Man, I wish I'd have ported these out a little bit. At least cleaned them up. I just ran out of time and then wished I'd done it. But anyway, what we're going to do is I like using the ultra black gasket maker. And you want this thick stuff, because you want to put a pretty good bead on this. You don't want it all going in the engine, obviously, but you do want a pretty thick mess of it, you know what I'm saying. Make sure that covers that hole. Yeah, it does. There's a soft plug there. I'm not really sure what it's for. Doesn't appear that my machine shop pulled it, so it must either be kind of difficult to do or something. Make sure you get it in the corners no matter what. And I always put, even though I got a good gasket, I always put a bead, a small one, around the water jacket, or wherever the water goes. And the only reason I do that is just to, if you got a coolant leak, man, you just don't want it. You can't see it, and you know it's leaking, and you're trying to figure out if it's a soft plug or whatever. If you can kind of eliminate some of the problem areas, which in most cases will be around your water, anywhere obviously that you can. So just put just a little bit on there, just enough to kind of seal it up, and kind of takes that out of the equation, or should anyway. Maybe I better say it that way. Should take it out of the equation. Now, I did do something a minute ago. I ordered a set of headers, and I bought a set of stainless I think they call them, I don't remember, Tri-Wise or something like that. They're a long tube stainless header, and I don't know if I got that thick enough or not. A little bit thicker through here. Anyway, I did buy a set of gaskets, headers, and I told you I was going to fuel injection this, and I absolutely am going to fuel injection this. However, with that said, I didn't need that cap anyway. Carburetor was pretty cheap, and the reason I bought it was because, for break-in purposes, see, these Velcro gaskets actually have a blue, even around the water jackets, so I probably didn't have to do that, but anyway, too little too late. And then what these do is, to make them stay, the head gaskets have those you have these little pieces sticking out all four corners. And that's what that's for, is to lock into these. They actually have a lock built into them, And it locks them on there where they won't slide out of the way when you're trying to do it. Actually a good idea. Alright, now that that's on there, we're going to go a little bit more on this side. And like I said, a little bit around this, even though it's got the blue garbage on it, on this side of it. I still just want to make sure that we're not going to be having a leak somewhere that we don't need a leak at. Plus I'm doing the edges where the China rail comes together too, just again. It's just to make sure. Because, man, I just can't stand leaks. I don't like doing stuff twice, and it seems like I end up having to do that a boatload. Yeah, what can you do? Alright. And also, one thing I bought that I've been wanting to get for a while, I have a couple of them, but I didn't want to take them off the engines. A, they're kind of hard to get to, and B, they're on there for a reason. I bought a 4-barrel lifting plate. Making sure there's no debris. I just pulled this out of the package, set it down, and put several coats of satin clear on it. And try to line everything up and go down as smooth and easy and bolt hole lineage up as you possibly can. Will save you a lot of problems in the end. Okay, and for fun, I know one of them will. I know one of these, I think it's this one, has to have a nut sticking out the top of it. And that's because the bracket for the air conditioner, like I said, that may not stay that way. So I'm not like absolutely, you know, set that I have to have that on there. But I bought some new bolts and washers. I bought grade 8 5/16 bolts, 2 inches long, just for sprucing up. And I bought some 3/8 washers, which are really kind of tight on the side there where that sticking up. I don't know if that's going to work. I may have to go with a different washer there. I got enough of them. Anyway, I'm not even sure where I was at. Sitting there yakking, not paying attention to what I'm doing or saying. I did buy some, like I said, bolts and washers. I just decided to go ahead and use the grade 8 bolts. They look a little better, and I used the grade 1, 3, whatever it is, 3 I guess, washers. Kind of set it off a bit. There's several holes I'm going to have to plug off here or put something in them. I've got a huge vacuum one here at the back. There's a water one here, and there's a water one there right in front of the where the thermostat goes. One of them will actually obviously have a water temperature sensor in it of some type. Not sure which one yet that's going to be. One more washer. Like I said, this washer may or may not work. She's dragging really hard. I think it's okay. We'll find out, I guess. Won't wait. That's 9/16. That ain't gonna work. Where's my 1/2 inch? Here it is. Anyway, I bought this plate. I probably didn't say that, and I've started to talk about it. I've got a plate sitting back there, but like I said, they're on engines, and they kind of help seal up. I left the tape. I actually masked that off. I don't like leaving that on there long because it leaves the residue, but the masking tape can be cleaned off a lot easier than like duct tape or Gorilla tape. So watch what you use and how long you use it, because that's a real booger to clean that stuff up. You don't want to get down in the engine. But I left it, I just peeled the 4 corners up where the bolts were and then stuck that on there. So, anyway, can feel that starting to make noise. And then what I was saying about the carburetor, I bought a reman 600 CFM electric choked Holley. And the reason I did that was because easier for, as I was saying, easier for startup break-in purposes. Because when I go with a fuel injection, which I am definitely going to do, the problem with fuel injection is it wants to learn. And the only way to learn is it has to run. You have to hold it, I think, different RPMs. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I've never done one before, an aftermarket one. So I'm going to have to read up, obviously, before I do it. By eliminating the break-in possible leaks, possible coolant problems, possible this, possible that, anything you have to do whenever you revamp an engine and you put it in for the first time, first start, there's so many things you could have. From leaks to wiring problems to fouling plugs, burning wires. There's a whole bunch of things that can happen when you're breaking an engine in, because you especially doing something like this where this didn't come out of there, so it's not like a direct bolt in. I mean, it sort of is. It is a Ford motor, but you know what I'm saying. So what I'll do is I'll run a clicky clack because I still can't get a mechanical fuel pump on this if I still have the power steering pump on. So I'll run a clicky clack, just a fuel pump. And we'll run off the tank that's there, the fuel that's in it, and we'll do all the break-in with that carburetor, and then I'll go ahead and order the fuel tank and the lines and everything that we need to use to replace all that stuff. I have not tightened this stuff down hardly at all. The middle ones are a little harder than these. So I really want to get this on here. I want to make sure that I've got a good seat, or I see some squishy dowdy, you know what I mean, where I'm actually getting, because you don't want a vacuum leak or an oil. Well, you're not going to get a vacuum leak there, you're going to get a big oil leak, which you end up with. Alright, so I don't know what the torque specs of this is. I hate to say. I do not know. I did not look. I am doing some type of a crisscross circular pattern, though, if that makes any sense. Oh, I hit myself in the stomach. Oh, hit it again. All right. Now, normally what I'll do is once I do that, because you tighten it down, you'll find that these loosen up again, and that's exactly what happened. So you just kind of keep going around, and I am not getting on it hard. Yes, I do have this extended all the way out. I agree that. That one's pretty tight. So I can see it's squished out some. So I'm going to let that set. But anyway, getting back to the carburetor deal. Like I said, the biggest reason I did it was just for break-in purposes, and to just kind of get everything started and working and going. And I'm looking for a bolt or screw I can put in the silicone, because that seems to be the biggest problem. You know what? I'll just put the cap back on it. And if I need it again, we just have the little, spready deal. You know what I mean? This kind of stuff's getting expensive. Stupid silicone. All that stuff's getting expensive. Good grief. All right, so I have a vacuum port in the back for the brake, so I have to figure out what hose we're going to use and what fitting I need to put on it. There's a mounting bracket for something. I assume it's linkage for I don't know, multiple different deals. So mounting bolt here for something, some accessory, I assume that's it. Now I have a pretty good sized water hole here, and then one here. Since this is not reverse rotation, what that means is the water pump is pulling from the bottom and discharging through the top, if I'm not mistaken. That's where your thermostat is. So you almost want your temperature gauge somewhere up here. And the reason you want it there is because you want to know what it is before the thermostat opens, if that makes any sense. At least, this is my personal preference. I prefer it to be, I want to know what the temperature is. That way, if this stupid thing doesn't open, and this thing starts shooting way up there, I mean, you want to kind of know what's going on, So I bought a 180 thermostat. I don't know if that's going to work full time for me or not. The reason I bought that is because the 180 is kind of mid-range. I think you get 160, a 180, or whatever it is, and a 195, or that was kind of common. There was like 3 different ones. I'm going to be running aluminum radiator with electric cooling fan on a thermostat, so I have no idea if this will work or not. I assume it will, but we'll just have to deal with that when it comes. But anyway, manifold's on. Everything felt pretty good. It squished out the garbage where I expected it to, so I'm happy with that. I ordered, like I said, a set of Tri-Y stainless headers. I actually found them cheaper this time than when I was looking for them before. And I ordered that 4-barrel carburetor. I know if you look at them, it actually was from Holly off of eBay. So I feel if they're the ones who rebuilt their own carburetors, they should have, you know what I'm saying, they should have done a decent job. But there was limited numbers of it, but it was also the polished one, which I really don't care if it's polished or not. It just happens to be the one I run across. Shipped to the house was $250. That's electric choke, completely remanned with gasket, and it's the polished 600 CFM standard carburetor. And it was also set up if you wanted to put a dual feed on your fuel system, fuel line, like one for the front and one for the back for whatever reason. It actually was, I had set up to do that, even though it has a line going between them. It actually was set up to do that. So, you know, was it a good price? I think so, because a new one is at least $100 more, and it's not polished. It's usually the goldish colored one, or whatever you want to say. But okay, I'm going to stop rattling and get off here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm probably going to put this valve cover on this side, and then I'm going to pull this. Then I'm going to pull this valve cover off, turn the engine a little bit more sideways where it's at, and we're going to reflush this here pretty good with this. I want another pressure reading. I'm trying to get that back one to pick up, and make sure that they all pick up like they're supposed to. And I may not be able to do that today, because I'm probably gonna, again, I got the factory, or the Fel-Pro replacement gaskets that I got for this motor had cork gaskets for the valve covers too. And so I kind of want them to set just a bit with a silicone on both sides of them before I do it. And then, like I said, I'm going to repressurize the oil system, try to get everything to do what it's supposed to, and then we'll put the other valve cover on. And then I'm going to go ahead and change this out, put the distributor in. And I got one more quart of oil to put in it. My dipstick tube I had to order. I think I said that on the last video, or first part of this one, or wherever it came in at. It won't be until Tuesday. Today is Friday. So just how it works. It's around Christmas. We're getting really close to Christmas. So, all right, bring you back.